Today we commemorate International Women's Day under the theme Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. Current global challenges, including the lasting effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, escalating poverty, and climate disasters, continue to disproportionately affect women and girls. Prolonged conflicts, poor governance, and human rights violations contribute to conditions conducive to violent extremism, which have devastating effects for women and girls and can intensify pre-existing gender inequalities and discrimination. It is therefore crucial to center women in counter-terrorism efforts, as well as other peace and security processes. The United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism is committed to investing in women and their full, equal, and meaningful participation in counter-terrorism efforts through our gender-responsive programs and policies.
Terrorist groups exploit and manipulate gender inequalities, norms and roles to recruit, radicalize, and mobilize new members. The 8th review of the United Nations Global Counterterrorism Strategy, adopted by consensus in June 2023, calls for gender-responsive approaches to counterterrorism. In practice, this means developing counterterrorism initiatives based on context-specific gender analysis and assessing the impact of counterterrorism activities on women and women's organizations. International human rights law and the Women, Peace and Security Agenda also remind us of the importance to build the capacities of women professionals to be meaningfully engaged in peace-building and counterterrorism efforts. We must also ensure full, equal, meaningful, and safe participation of women, civil society organizations, and especially women-led civil society organizations in developing counterterrorism strategies. These activities are not cost neutral and required adequate financial and human resources.
In line with our strategic plan for 2022-2025, the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism remains committed to mainstreaming gender across our policies and programs, from design to implementation and evaluation, as we've established gender-responsive counterterrorism as one of our strategic goals. We're proud that the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism meets or exceeds 88% of the indicators under the UN System-Wide Action Plan on Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women. These indicators measure, monitor, and drive progress towards gender equality and recognize the importance of financial allocations in this endeavor.
Investing in women also means amplifying women's voices. In line with the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, UNOCT strives to ensure the full, equal, and meaningful participation of women in events organized by the office. For example, during the 3rd United Nations Counterterrorism Week, held in June 2023, 40% of participants were women. Though women have been structurally underrepresented in counterterrorism efforts and other security spaces, our global program team promotes women's engagement across all capacity building activities. UNOCT is proud to highlight that women comprise approximately 30 to 50% of participants in all activities.
En 2023, le Bureau des Nations Unies de lutte contre le terrorisme a lancé la plateforme sur des facteurs de genre et d'identité qui soutient les États membres dans le développement d'approches sensibles au genre pour lutter contre le terrorisme et prévenir l'extrémisme violent propice au terrorisme. La plateforme comprend une bibliothèque de ressources accessibles au public ainsi que des communautés de pratique et offre des opportunités de dialogue direct avec des experts et des spécialistes. Elle est hébergée sur la plateforme d'apprentissage en ligne de l'OCT Connect and Learn, qui vient par ailleurs juste de décrocher la médaille d'or et la première place mondiale au Learning Award 2024. Nous continuons également à intégrer des approches sensibles au genre à travers nos programmes et activités. Par exemple, notre programme mondial sur le sport a octroyé des micro-subventions à des organisations de la société civile, y compris des organisations dirigées par des femmes, pour doter les jeunes femmes des compétences dont elles ont besoin en tant qu'actrices du changement au sein de leur communauté pour promouvoir l'égalité des sexes et prévenir l'extrémisme violent. De même, grâce à notre programme mondial sur la prévention et la lutte contre l'extrémisme violent, les jeunes femmes ont développé des compétences de base en matière de politique, d'analyse de données et de communication stratégique pour créer leurs propres initiatives qui s'attaquent aux facteurs de radicalisation. Cela inclut notamment le développement d'initiatives axées sur des questions plus ciblées telles que la lutte contre l'exploitation terroriste des systèmes de dons au niveau local.
As an international gender champion, I have emphasized that gender equality and the empowerment of women are essential to a more peaceful, inclusive, and egalitarian world. The effectiveness of counter-terrorism efforts around the world are linked to our collective ability to adopt and implement gender-responsive and human rights-based approaches. On this International Women's Day, the United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism reiterates its commitment to gender equality and investing in women through capacity building and supporting their full, equal, and meaningful participation in efforts to prevent and counter violent extremism conducive to terrorism.